All right, so welcome everyone. This is the final synchronous session, and I'm here just to troubleshoot, really. So I don't know if I'll keep you very long. The Cole has been in contact. They wanted to know how things were going, and so they are keeping an eye on us. And one of the things they've asked us to do this afternoon is to actually do the evaluation form. So I would like you to fill it in a minute. I'm going to post, well, it's available in the LMS. So I'll show you where it is. And if you could fill that in today or tomorrow at the latest, that would be great. If you did have issues and problems, please put it in the evaluation so that we can next time plan a little bit better so that we can offer you a real service. Okay, so first of all, let me just do the last little bit. In the previous session, I went right up almost to the end, but what I would like to just cover as in terms of a summary, I don't want to lecture, but I just want to cover as a summary, because hopefully you've looked at it already, the very last section, which was on the synchronous facilitation techniques. So one of the interesting things that have happened because of COVID-19 is that a lot of people now are familiar with what we call the bicronous model of delivery. Bicronous, simply because there are two chronuses, asynchronous and synchronous technologies which are being pushed together. And these were necessary during the COVID remote period because we couldn't meet face to face. All right, so now you've got a couple of things to keep in mind. You've got asynchronous like Moodle, synchronous like Zoom or MS Teams. When you push them together, that becomes bicronous. But the reality is that it's still all online. It's a fully online course when you do a bicronous model. The research shows, however, that the best model is really blended learning. All right, so I'm hoping then that you've designed a blended learning course. In fact, that was the brief from Cole, and that now you're going to be thinking about how do you do the online components. So keep in mind then, face-to-face is easy. You've had years and years and years of experience of doing that. How do you engage your students in the lecture and in various other face-to-face activities? But now you've also got to think, how do I engage them when they're online, either in Moodle or in Zoom? All right. So the last few sessions that you've been doing is all about how do you engage them in Moodle? How do you engage them asynchronously? So I'm hoping now you go, oh yes, now I know I have to build up a little online presence. Maybe I should make a little video. Then I should make sure that I can track what they're doing. I should chat to them in the forums and the chats. I should be able to track them in terms of the quality of their performance, in terms of the assignments and tests. All of those are examples of asynchronous learning. All right. And you as a facilitator need to facilitate that component. One of the bits that's done really poorly is facilitating the synchronous components of your course. All right. Those are the Zooms and the MS Team components. So that's what this last little section is how do we make these online things more engaging? All right. One of the problems with people who are new to Zoom or to MS Teams is that they tend to just lecture, and then everyone else turns their cam off because they say bandwidth, but we don't even know whether you're really there. All right. So what we're going to see now is a couple of tips about when you are facilitating the Zoom components of your course that you try and engage them more deeply. All right, so that's what this little section was. And one of the things we were looking at was this particular book here. All right, so I like this book. Actually, I met the guy who wrote it. He was at the eLearning Africa conference in Ivory Coast before we all got locked down, and no one's been out since. But he was quite clear that you've got to treat Zoom differently from face-to-face. And we very definitely got to treat it differently from Moodle, all right? One voice, yada, yada, like I'm doing now, is death, all right? People go to sleep. They're not really fully engaged. You should really be doing these strategies to try and keep things interesting. Number one is if you have a very large group, you shouldn't feel you have to do it alone. Now, I'm a little bit lucky because I've done this so often now. I feel quite comfortable in this environment, and I can check the chat. I can check the participants coming in. I can check the video screens, etc. But it's much easier if you have a producer. Okay, someone who's checking the back room. We had a very scary incident when we were running a webinar series for AAU, the African Association of Universities. We had a very large crowd of about 800 people on the one call, and we got attacked by one of these bots, and it came in and started spewing sound clips and writing horrible things in the chat. It wasn't a real person. It was too quick to be a real person. So it was definitely a robot. And obviously it was frustrating and unprofessional, and it was really, really scary. So sometimes it's a good idea to actually control who's coming in and out of the room. Tel has just given us a link and given me a little key to become the host, but they're not monitoring at all, which I think in large groups could be potentially a little bit dangerous. So there's another reason why you'd want a producer, someone to be able to check who's coming in, who's going out, etc., etc. The second thing they say is you should not do synchronously what you could do asynchronously. So, for example, I'm giving a little mini lecture. I don't mean to, but I am. But why didn't I just record this beforehand and stick it in the asynchronous section? So this is an example of where it's not a good activity for the Zoom. All right. If you want to give a little lecture, film it first, stick it in the Moodle. All right. The next thing they mentioned was devise a check-in activity. All right. So normally when people come in all together, this is part of the problem, me being late, and then you guys all went out, and then you all came back in again, and so on. There wasn't really a proper space for a check-in activity, which you could all do. So instead, I was just chatting to people as my check-in activity. I was trying to check with Nerwin and see how she's doing, and has she got any problems. And unsurprisingly, she's A for away. She's one of the best in this group in terms of getting through all the work. So well done, Nerwin. But that was my check-in activity. It was simply to try and engage with you each, give you a voice. All right. Be structured, but not overly designed. So if you've got a PowerPoint, that's a good idea if you're new, because it gives you a structure, but it becomes very tedious, especially if people find that it's not really what they're interested in. They're interested in other things. So you should rather be much looser. So you should have an idea of what you want to cover, but you should keep it loose so you can move and change as per request. Ask participants to turn their video cams on. All right. So normally, if bandwidth allows, it's much better to be able to see them. So when I work for MBA, Neil Butcher and Associates, we have a weekly business meeting where traditionally we used to meet around the boardroom table, but obviously during lockdown we had to go into remote meetings, and by having that video cam on, it wasn't as good as being next to them and sharing a coffee, but it was much better. You could see if someone was looking frustrated or unhappy or grumpy or whatever, and you could also see that they were there. One of the problems of what you guys have done now is I spoke to Paul Peter when we came in, but is he still there? Or has he gone off for a cup of coffee? He's turned his cam off. He's turned his mic off, which is great in terms of no feedback, sound feedback, but it's not great in terms of facilitation, because now I'm wondering when he was there. He did turn it on when I was talking to him, which was great, because then I could see him, and I could see that he had a twinkle in his eye and that he was happy and healthy, and that was cool. All right. So if you can, it's all according how big your classes are and how strong the bandwidth is. But in these Zoom meetings, try and get the cams on. Try and do the session in little pieces. Don't do one long lecture with a PowerPoint presentation, which goes on for 40 minutes, and then you have like 5 minutes to chat. All right. rather break it into smaller pieces and let them chat, or let them go into a breakout room, or let them do something other than just sit there passively listening. Try and give them something interactive to do. So the thinking then is that give them a poll, ask them a question. Quite often we use a chat. As I say, give me the answer to this question in the chat, and then they fire away in the chat. So that's one way that you can get them to do something interactive without any fancy tools or anything. I have even done Kahoot tests. These are multiple choice tests on the screen at the same time. I did it with 800 people. It was right. It was chaotic as well, but it was good fun. All right, and that kind of kept things a bit spicy. All right, and it says there, note that of what I've just told you, probably only 50% will be retained. Probably less. Normally they say that when you're listening, you retain about 30%. And now it's saying, if you were listening to me face to face, now it's 50% lower. All right. So the idea then was that, hey, the background's changed, Paul Peter. You've now got, have you moved?
Hey, oh yeah, okay, because of internet connectivity, I had to move to a different room.
There you go. You see, you do notice these things when the cams are on. So cool.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So yes, keep in mind then that retention is worse on Zoom than it is face-to-face. It's already low face-to-face, but it's even worse on the Zoom. So don't give too much information over the Zoom level. All right. So there were a couple of other little resources I wanted you to look at, but that's basically the message is keep it interactive, keep it short, chunk things really tight. Try not to lecture. Try to rather engage people and find out how they're doing and what's going on, and let them have a voice. So I've spoken to Eugene, I've spoken to Nerwin, I've spoken to Paul Peter very briefly. Helen, how are you doing? Are you all right? Let's put in practice what I've just said. Helen, are you there?
Hello, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Nice, nice.
It's Paul Peter there. Is Helen not?
Yes, yes.
Is Helen not really here, or is Helen in pajamas, or what? Okay, you said no. You don't know. All right, Eugene, I've spoken to on the WhatsApp and also yes. All right.
Hi, Andrew.
There we go. There we go. How are you?
I'm fine, Andrew.
And how's the work going?
I've actually 97%. I think I worked on it yesterday until I got the certificate.
Excellent. So you've got your certificate. Cool.
Yes.
All right. And then you're very close to the end then. So I think you just put this one piece here to have a look at, and then you're through. All right. That sounds good.
Yes.
And also all your admin and finance and procurement, did that all go all right?
Sorry, I'm not getting you right.
The administration, I believe you guys have been doing tons of admin because your management's all over you like a rash. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, which brings me to the last piece. I'm going to put the link in the here, just quicker. It's quicker if I just go here. I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm also going to put it in the WhatsApp. And if you, how many questions? It's quite big. 16 questions, it looks like. So could you do those, please? Can you access it now? And I want you to be absolutely honest. I want you to say what worked for you, what did not work for you, so that we can fix it up and make it better and better and better. All right. All right. Then thank you very much. You can still talk to me on the WhatsApp. I will. I'm still available. It's been great. My little core team there were like 10 of you. So I'm very chuffed with you guys. I think you've done very nicely and you've worked systematically through the materials. You've come to all the meetings. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that and your contribution. So I'm going to say goodbye in terms of synchronous, but I'll still around asynchronously. And let's finish off by tomorrow. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Andrew,
we really appreciate it.
we appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really unfortunate it came at a time when we are too busy, but we really appreciate your zeal, your commitment. Thank you very much.
Well, Peter, thank you very much. That's very nice.
You're most welcome.